planet Mars is paradise. Voices are never raised in argument. Never. There's only one sex, so no emotional problems. No fast cars. No noisy discos. Everyone is equal and lives to 803. Me? I sold up and moved to Earth.
Hello everyone, welcome back to episode 70 of the Retro Inc. podcast with me, Andy, and my co-host Jeremy.
Hello there.
Hello there. How are you, mate? All right?
Yeah, I'm not so bad. How have you been today?
Very good, thank you. Sitting in the semi-sun, enjoying medieval fighting again. Because this is what I do at my weekends, apparently, quite frequently, is watch knights beat each other up. Yourself?
A lovely day. Adam and the children came up. Two boys played the Xbox, so I got to watch them play Fortnite and some other strange games, and then they got Mortal Kombat out, and obviously I beat everybody up with it because I grew up
good at
with
button
Mortal
mashing.
Kombat. No, I have very fast reactions.
I've played Street Fighter Championship Edition review, and I know full well it's just button mashing.
It's not button mashing
Out
because
and out button mashing.
A skilled player would be able to beat someone who's button bashing, wouldn't they?
Maybe. Yeah, but anyway, we'll move on from that because I think you're cheating. But yeah, Adam came to see you today with the kids. That's why there's no Adam today. He's on his way back with the kids. He's got them for the weekend, hasn't he? So he's going to spend some time with them, which is all good for him. I went to another medieval fair, and I've realised I want to buy a long sword and become a knight. So, as of next month, I think I'll be starting a very retro podcast. That's a good name for it as well. But yeah, so we're kind of lost for stuff today, but what have you been watching this week, mate?
I've watched a few things this week. Predominantly, it's been retro, so that's good.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah, I watched The Thing, which I loved again. I've watched The Thing quite a few times this year.
Yeah, I think we kind of mention it every other podcast that's what you've watched. So, yeah.
However, I did a little research into the prequel thing that they made. Thing.
Yeah.
And the fact that the practical effects were kind of put over with CG. There were lots of practical stuff. And then they decided that they'd ruin it by putting CG over the top of it. And the company that made all the practical effects then used those stuff they'd made in another movie.
All right.
They did a little Kickstarter thing, thought we're not going to waste it. And so it was all that kind of practical effects, and it had Lance Henriksen in it. So I thought, that'd be great. And it wasn't. It was really bad.
Oh, I did. What was that called?
It's called Inanimate.
I think I've seen that on somewhere. Is that on Prime?
No, it was on the horror channel this week.
Right, I have seen that name about. So yeah,
I'll record that, and it just wasn't very good. A bit disappointed.
Right, okay.
But it's the kind of movie that I watched. I watched Walking Tall. I've not seen that for a little while. That was good fun.
With The Rock.
Rock, yeah, that was good.
Very good. I like that film. Yeah.
I watched Kong Skull Island again because
why not?
That's a very good movie.
It is a solid movie. That.
Probably the second best Kong movie that there is.
Brie Larson as well, isn't it? I forget. Yeah.
Well, it's a massive Marvel reunion because John C. Reilly was in Guardians, and you've got Samuel Jackson, and you've got
Tom Hiddleston.
Loki.
Yeah. I never thought of it like that, actually.
No, I hadn't until I was sitting there watching it and going, hang on.
And Jamie Bell's in it, isn't it? Is Jamie Bell in it? No, he's not, is he?
No, he's in the other one.
Yeah, I'd say, because he's pretty much Tom Holland. He's a poor man's Tom Holland, right?
Okay. Pretty much Tom Holland. I also watched Evil Dead 2 again this week.
Oh, nice.
I've not seen that for a while, and I've forgotten it's virtually a comedy, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
I know that it was touted as being scary and horrible and all that kind of stuff. And I remember when it came out, it terrifying me, like truly being scary. But I watched it with Steve on a farm in the woods.
Yeah, no, there's a thing with this, and I'm going to back this film up and your claim here because I think they're one and the same. And it's unfortunately a trope that I think goes through a lot of movies. Scream is my one that I always use this as an analogy, right? Because I love the Scream franchise. All four of them, I think, are very good films. Number 1 and number 2 and 4 are better than 3, obviously, but I enjoy them as a series very much so. When Scream came out, it was still enjoyable as a teen slasher movie, but it was the inception of that genre of films, and at the time it was creepy. As much as it's not scary because it's not supernatural, and in a way sometimes that's scary because it could actually really happen, but it's a guy chasing you around the house trying to kill you, and it's going to get some people in that frame of mind. But over the years, where it's been parodied and copied and used as a sort of a benchmark of pop culture, it becomes a parody of itself. And when you watch Scream back now, it's almost like you say, it's almost a comedy. It's almost it becomes a parody of itself because of popular culture, and Evil Dead has that as well. I mean, yes, it still has its funny moments, but when you, like you say, you watch that back at the time when you was younger in the woods with your friend, it's scary. And you watch it now, but because we know what the character of Ash becomes and how he's been perceived in popular culture and how these tropes in that movie have been used multiple times because it made those ideas up, because it was some of the original ideas of these we were in the Evil Dead films, that it becomes a parody of itself when you watch it back. And it's a real shame that it happens to some of these things because, I don't know if you've ever watched Silence of the Lambs back, but Hannibal Lecter's almost laughable. If you watch it through some eyes, it's that whole scene where Clarice walks in and Mick says something to her, and he goes, "So what did Mick say to you, Clarice?" And she's like, "I can smell you." And he's like, "I, however, cannot." And it's his performance is almost laughable because the Hannibal Lecter trope and stereotype has been parodied through the years since, and it's a shame.
I think it's the first time I've watched it since I watched the show Ash vs Evil Dead, and I think that in retrospect makes you go, "Oh yeah, it's just funny," because there are some horrific moments and it's creepy.
True.
But better in the first one, but but it was good. And the other movie I've watched this week is Rocket Man.
Oh yeah, any good?
And I wasn't that bothered about watching it. But a few people at work said actually you should watch it. It's really good, and it came onto a service that I can watch, and it is brilliant.
Cool.
It is really superb. It's not like the Bohemian Rhapsody one.
I'm not saying that maybe yet. But...
Well, that's really good.
Yeah.
But this is an out and out musical.
Right, cool.
It's a full-on.
Well, I've got a massive man crush on Taron Egerton.
Well, that led me to watch Robin Hood straight away afterwards.
All right, not so good.
I still really enjoyed it. I developed a man crush on Taron that day. No, that's it. I have a man crush now.
Honestly, I developed a man crush on Taron when I watched Sing. Was actually when I did. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but he's Johnny the Gorilla, and his voice in that. I mean, when he sings the Sam Smith songs, is just wonderful. He's such a talented fellow, and anything he's in now, I think it's just
he's really good in this. He's really believable as Elton John, and he's not made out to be perfect in any way.
No, I heard this. You get all his foibles in there, so yeah. Cool. Okay, good. Good stuff.
Recommend that. And then I've also watched some Stranger Things.
Still only one episode further. Yeah, I'm still behind. It's just been time this week.
I've been watching iZombie a lot recently, which is quite fun.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
I started watching the first series and I didn't really get into it, to be honest.
I quite like that. And The Boys on Amazon.
Oh, the superhero one.
Yeah.
Yeah, any good?
What I've seen of it is pretty good.
I nearly put it on last night, but I was feeling a bit tired.
I've seen about 3 or 4 episodes of it, and it's good. I mean, it doesn't really... It's not quite a comedy. It's not quite superhero.
It doesn't know what it is yet.
That's the only thing, the Venn diagram bit, the bit in the middle where it is all good fun, but it's not quite any of it.
It doesn't know what the other bits are yet.
And it makes it fun. Right. It's a bit weird that you've got Simon Pegg being English.
Oh, is Simon Pegg in it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's being American, and Carl Urban's trying to be English.
Okay.
And he's not quite Dick Van Dyke, but he's not a lot better.
Right. Okay. Fair enough. That's to be honest. Now you've said Carl Urban and Simon Pegg. I'm watching it because I love Carl Urban anyway. He's one of those that I think seems like a genuinely nice person.
I also watched Shaft as well. I remembered because the younger version of Shaft is in the TV show as well.
Oh, right. Okay.
And he's fun. Yeah, I mean the superheroes are well, idiots really.
Right.
But it's quite fun. It's quite fun. So I'd recommend that. Carl Urban and Simon Pegg.
I love Carl Urban, mate. I've always liked the guy anyway. But so is that everything you've done? Is it?
That's all I can remember at the moment. That's more than write down. I just kept remembering this stuff.
Well, I got Amazon Prime for 6 months with my phone for free, so I've been on a bit of the let's watch some crap as well. I mean, I actually watched last night, not so crap, but it was Hanky Panky. I don't know if you know that one. Gene Wilder and Gilda Radner.
Yeah, I have seen it.
Yeah, I love any Gene Wilder film, and I think I've seen this before. I remember the first few scenes where he's chasing the woman through the building. He's been chased after she gets shot and that. And I think I've seen it before when I was a lot younger. But I watched it back, and I genuinely enjoyed it. It's Gene Wilder, Silver Streak, any of those. With Richard Pryor that he done, Seen Over Here and Over and all them, and Stir Crazy. Anything with him and is great. I think it just brings a great manic energy to the screen with whatever he's in. But the other film I watched is You'll Be So Proud of Me. Class of Nukem High.
I enjoy it. I like a bit of trauma.
Yeah, 1986, and absolute terrible film. But like you say, I just genuinely enjoyed it. I sat there and I just had a smile across my face about how crap that film was while I watched it. And there's not much else to say about it. One of the user reviews on IMDb, the tagline is 100% trauma.
Yeah.
And I think that is the only way you can put it across, is that film just from the get-go just oozes it, doesn't it?
I think this may be where my love of terrible movies comes from, because I watched a lot of trauma movies when I was younger.
Right, yeah. Fair.
And they're they were just... They knew what they were making. And a lot of the movies that I've watched since then are like trauma movies, only they think they're making a serious proper movie. And they're not. I mean, you can't make a movie about a giant boar eating people and think you're making Citizen Kane, because you're not. You're making a trauma movie under a different label.
Yeah, who are the people that make... It begins with an A, doesn't it? The people who make all the rip-off movies like The Hobbit, and they do...
Yeah, I can't remember who they are, but I know you mean.
Yeah, they're essentially the same thing now, aren't they? That's that ideology, like you say, that ethos of we know we are making low rent B movie crap, and that's why we make it, because that's what people want to watch. Yeah,
Atlantic Rim and all that.
Totally. You know the ones. I want to say Amnesty or something like that, but it's not. I cannot remember. Someone would be shouting at us right now about this. But yeah, I mean, that's all I've really watched this week. I said I've watched another episode of Stranger Things. It's just the time to get to watch stuff at the moment. I've been flat out, with school holidays starting as well. But I did go to GamerCon yesterday in Gravesend, and. Right, so, I mean, anyone that listened to a couple of shows ago, 68, I think it was, we spoke about, and I said about, obviously, it didn't look that great from the outlook, and the price was quite extortionate, etc., etc., etc. All of those fears and worries I had were completely 100% true.
Okay.
I went, I turned up, when was it? It started at 10. I drove past at, must have been around about 11 o'clock, because I was driving home. I had to pop into work and do some bits, and I was driving home. And as I drove past it, I saw absolutely no one outside. And I have recorded some stuff. It'll probably go up separately or never, to be honest with you, because, again, it was... Right, I wrote a kind of a semi-little review on the group. Gravesend GamerCon was, in all honesty, a massive dumpster fire. I appreciate the opportunity to get access to it, but if I, someone who didn't pay, walked out after 30 minutes, the people that forked out their hard-earned pennies must have been fuming. I think someone had a great idea, but was ultimately greedy or hindered by high rates and thus falling very short of what they had envisioned. I know it was the first year, but when there were only 2 rooms, one of which looked like an office canteen, and both of these rooms felt like I was in a school summer fair, it's safe to say that $17.95 per ticket is insulting. No atmosphere, little to do, overpriced and small. Very, very small. The only thing I wanted was to try was VR, but apparently that was the only thing worth doing, as the line was about 20, trust me, that's impressive, deep. I couldn't be bothered to wait in the clammy, smelly room for 45 minutes to get to go on what looked like a headset I would need jabs after using. Gutted, to be honest, as something like this locally sounds like an event I would look forward to yearly, but unfortunately I feel like I've wasted my Saturday afternoon when I could have been doing those chores that I keep putting off. That is a reserved review, because the longer I thought about it, if I'd have paid $17.95 for that ticket, I wouldn't have left that building without getting my money back.
Oh dear.
Right. I would love to sit here and say to these people locally, if they are listening, if they're listening for this feedback for them, I wish I could try and say something positive for you. And I wish I could sit there and be an advocate for you. And every year we could try and do something that worked on both of our behalves. You know, I would love to have something locally like this that worked, that I could enjoy, that I could go and see and be part of. And I went there, and honestly, it was embarrassing, I think, for them. And I mean, I walked up the steps, and bearing in mind there was nobody outside. There's a live video on the webpage on our group that shows I'm outside there, and there is in the end 2 people walking behind me as I'm standing outside. And I went in. There was a few people in cosplay outside this little cafe bit. Go up into the stairs, and they said there's 2 rooms. The one on your right is for tabletop gaming, and the one on your left is video games. I was like, okay, cool. So straight away I went into the video game room, and I entered there, and it was, I'm not even going to try and guesstimate the sizes, but imagine maybe a school hall, a primary school hall, right? That sort of size. And it's got a bank of retro game, like screens and consoles, like modern consoles, and everything set up from the game shop that's in the town centre there. And there was kids playing like Minecraft, Spider-Man on the PS4. I think it was like Call of Duty or something. One of them was playing. And there must have been about 20 screens and consoles hooked up. So cool. Okay, they're playing them. And then to my left is 3 arcade cabinets from Reanimated Games in Gravesend, which I've got to be honest was the highlight of the visit there to see. Because It was 3 MAME arcade cabinets set up, and they had a Pac-Man competition on for the weekend, for the day, which was cool. That's the sort of thing you want there. You know, you could write your name down, they'd do your scores, and you could enter into a competition, get a high score on Pac-Man. And they had the arcade cabs set up so the kids could change, kids and adults could choose the games. And, you know, there was these 2 little boys sitting there playing some real old school games. And it was really nice to see them playing Space Invaders, Pac-Man, and they were going through the list on this arcade cab that had, you know, hundreds of games on it. And mostly, though, on the 3 of them throughout my 30-minute stay there, it was middle-aged men playing old school games, which is what it's there for, you know?
Yeah.
And so there's someone setting off a semi-automatic rifle outside my house, apparently. I don't know if you picked that up.
That's where you live.
Yeah, it is indeed. It's those people that I slagged off in Gravesend, they're coming for me. But, yeah, so there was that, and they were cool, reanimated games, so shout out to them. And then in this sort of opposite of them was a few tables set up with a NES, Mega Drive 2, PlayStation 1 and N64, and they had all these games sitting there on the side that you could just pop in, play, and have a go at and walk away. And there's a guy playing Toe Jam and Earl. There was someone else playing, I think it was like Mario 64 and stuff like that. So, you know, kudos to that. It was good. And then there was the VR. There was a couple of little stalls selling literal toot of, the merchandise that I think they probably haven't got rid of in their shop for 4 years. And there was the VR unit in inverted commas of basically one of those boards they put up in a hospital when someone's having a heart attack, right? They had one of them around it, and it was all dirty, and there was a guy standing there with a VR headset just giving it out to people in this queue for them to have a go on. And they only had about 3 games to choose from, and the queue was going so slowly. I mean, I stood there and I saw one guy in like 10 minutes having a go, and it was 20 deep. I don't know how long I'm going to be standing there waiting for this go. Walk around, there was some nice art by people that is generic stuff you could buy on the internet for a £5 that was a £10 a piece. There was a guy selling some Doctor Who toys that were overpriced. I'll send you some pictures. And there was a guy selling protein for, weight gain there. I know, exactly. And there was just people selling some tabletop bits, which are obviously very expensive bits that you can buy online cheaper anyway. And there was an escape room thing there, and they were charging £10 a go of their escape room thing after your £20 nearly ticket. And then the big thing that had all the screens on playing Spider-Man, and that went down, so they had to reset everything. All the screens went off. There was cosplay there. Now, I'm never anyone to slight anyone for cosplay, because I think whether your outfit is good or not so great or absolutely amazing, you are just a fan using the best of your abilities and the budget that you have to create something to enjoy the fandom that you're into. So you should never.
It's not cheap stuff, is it?
It's not cheap stuff, and some people are more talented than others. And at the end of the day, it's unfair to, as somebody who enjoys, say, Star Wars. If I went to a cosplay and somebody's wearing a Jedi bathrobe and someone else is wearing a £600 custom-made Jedi robe, both of them enjoy Star Wars, and they're both there for the same reason. So let them enjoy it. Don't, slight them for that. But on that note, the cosplay was of the lower rent. I mean, but then obviously that comes with status of the con, because big cons get cosplayers that have 50,000 followers on Instagram because they're big in that world. And, fame brings more people there. And this isn't its first year, but it was very much a local event. And what I gathered from it and what I got from it, because I did know some people there running stalls and that, so I'm not, all kudos to them for trying, but it felt like a load of mates had got together, said, wouldn't this be fun to do a convention? And they brought their mates along to the convention. That's what it felt like. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was one of those. And I think the biggest thing Game of Con should take away from all of this is that $17.95 is an insult. If I paid a £5, I would have gone, well, it wasn't really worth it, but okay. Do you know what I mean? If I'd have walked in there for a £5, it was a local gaming convention, and I'd sat down and played a little bit of Toe Jam and Earl and had a go at Pac-Man, I'd have gone, yeah, that was all right, walked out. Tenner, I would have been like, that was a bit of a rip-off. 19 quid or 18 quid, I would have been standing there asking for my money back. And yeah, it is a shame, mate. It's a real shame, because the other room I went into, that was it, the tabletop. I walked in, I turned the corner, and it was like canteen tables in a room no bigger than the size of someone's living room twice over, basically, and sitting down playing like Magic the Gathering and stuff. And there was no atmosphere. It was just weird. You know, I just turned around and walked straight out. It's almost like when I walked in, it was like a piano stopped in the corner and everyone looked at me.
Like slaughtered lamb.
Yeah, and I was just like, right, I'm out of here. And then when I walked back to the stairs, I looked in the other room. I thought, what's the point? And I just walked out. I couldn't be bothered to film anything, talk to anyone. It was very poor at the end of the day.
Have you given them feedback or not?
No, to be honest, because at the time I felt I didn't want to be horrible. But if they ask, then yeah, you know, I'll be frank with them, but in a polite way. Which is what I'm trying to be here. I could be I could rip them apart for what I saw there. But again, that's no one's fault. That was the stall holders or even the people running the event, I think. But I think, like I say, it was just a dream they had with too many hurdles in the way. Yeah. And the rates probably screwed them over. Like I say, if it was a $5 to get in, I think it would have been 5 times as busy, and people would have, I don't know what other people thought, but I think reception would have been a lot more warmer for it. And over the years, you build that ticket price up.
You would have got 4 times as many people and they'd have made more money out of it.
Yes. And I think it's just one of those that builds up your fame. You know, in 5 years' time, you can turn around and go, guys, it's 15 quid a ticket now.
Yeah.
Why? Because it's getting so big, and people will go, okay, because they'll pay it still, and that's fine. And there's no problem charging £18 a ticket if you've got something to back that up. But when London Film and Comic Con's around the same sort of price, and I can go and I can go and meet stars from my favourite shows and movies, but yet at GamerCon I've got, you know, I'm not going to say it because it's really unfair to the people that were cosplaying, but I'll tell you afterwards. But, you know, it's one of those that you just think, how can you justify this to the general public? And, you know, you can't, I'm afraid. You can't justify that. So it's a shame. I don't know. I mean, probably if they hear this, I won't be invited back next year. And, you know, that's fine. I understand it. But apologies, and try better next time. Really? So.
Yeah, again, I think that the entrance fees were prohibitive about that.
Yes.
Because it's a big gamble. If it's a $5, you've got to speculate to accumulate. If it's a $5, you think, I'll give it a go. And you'd have gone along to it. But for 17 quid, you think, what if it's rubbish?
Well, this is exactly my point, mate. I would not be sitting here being so hypercritical of it if it was a $5 a ticket.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm basing it on. You're selling a product and you're not meeting the expectations of that product. You know, You can turn around and go, we've just made the, you know, we've got a new PlayStation game coming out. It's £70, but it's totally worth your while because it's this big thing that you're expecting because it's got a £70 price tag on it. But yeah, I open it up and I get Snake.
Yeah,
you know, for my mobile phone, and that's what you've done. You've told me you're doing GamerCon. You've got your lush looking logo, and the advertising and your marketing has been pretty good for a local convention. I found out through Facebook because they'd paid for a sponsored ad that was striking and actually enticing. I mean, it come up with the music and this video about GamerCon and the logo. It didn't look cheap, so they've invested the money in that. But you've sold me a jumble sale. A local craft jumble sale, and I've not got a convention, and that's the problem. You've called it con, and it was. You know, then that's
the wrong context.
Yeah, exactly, and then it's a shame. But I'll move on from there because I don't want to sit here and be critical of them all night because I understand what they tried to do, and I appreciate that. But lower your ticket prices.
Yeah, best of luck for next year if it goes on again.
Exactly. Talking about retro gaming though, you like your Commodores, don't you?
I'm a big Commodore fan. All my favourite games are on that.
Wasn't it your VIC-20 that you used to love?
A VIC-20 and a Commodore 64, both.
Right, okay, well, you know they do the retro mini of the Commodore 64 that's already out. Well, you'll be happy to know they're actually releasing a new one. It's full size, has a fully operational keyboard as well. The C64 is called, as in it's the C64, is a full size and comes complete with fully operational keyboard featuring the signature brown keys found on the original 64. It also comes with, you're doing cartwheels. It also comes with a Micro Switch Retro joystick, which you can see in the, there's a video. You'll have 3 models to choose from: C64 Basic, VIC-20 Basic, and the mode to launch any of these on the and a mode to launch any of the C64 pre-installed games directly. To bring the original console a little more up to date, there's also a HDMI output and 4 USB inputs for it as well.
Wow!
It is. There's not a full list
on it.
There's not a full list yet. It releases on the 5th of December this year at $109.99. Which is actually a kind of affordable price. It's somewhere in that.
Christmas.
But they're saying that they expect to see things such as Attack of the Mutant Camels, Boulder Dash, California Games, Galencia, and Grid Runner on there. So that's one for you to keep a little eye out for.
Did you get a joystick with it as well?
Yes, yeah, it says you get the joystick with it as well and everything like that.
Will it break after a week?
This is something to wonder, to be honest with you, because are they going to sell peripherals for it? And that's where the issue lies. So I'm not sure whether that joystick is attached or whether it's a USB joystick, and whether they're going to sell those joysticks as an additional peripheral later on.
Because that's the only thing. If you're playing summer games and stuff like that, and you've got to run by going...
Yeah, you're going to break it. So more on that, obviously, if we find that out, whether or not those peripherals are available individually. Because that C64 Mini before was great, but, you know, who's
it available from?
Amazon, I think it's already on for pre-order on there, so you can have a look on there. But talking of that as well, this is just announced, was the PC Engine TurboGrafx Mini. Konami have announced that they will be bringing the TurboGrafx FX Mini, and it will be releasing, so I'm just trying to find a date, March 19th next year, and that's going to be at £100, $99.99.
And what's that?
We called it the TurboGrafx, right? And in America, in Japan, it was the PC Engine. And it has games R-Type, Bomberman, things like that on there. So, and that's exactly. That's another one that's coming out, and obviously this has got a HDMI cable, and it's your usual fare of these mini consoles. I'm loving these things because I think, especially the older ones, not so much the PS1 Mini, but I'll get to that in a minute. But I love these mini units because I just think they're nice little ornaments to have.
Yeah.
And the more they release, the better that's going to look, having your TurboGrafx next to your Mega Drive 2, next to your PlayStation, and, so on and so forth, your Sinclair ZX and all of these. And I'm really starting to think now I might want to get into these, especially given the fact that the PS1 Mini is very easy to hack. And I've seen people selling them now pre-installed with like 200 PlayStation 1 games. And that, opening that up and being able to download, from places, certain ROMs and ISO copies and that you could put any game on there that you want from the PS1 era. And it's bad of me to hope that there's going to be exploits in things such as these, because then you can use them for that. And I'm always going to be open and an advocate for emulation, because as much as it's not the true form and it's not its original, its original form, it's still a form of that thing that you want. And history teaches us we lose stuff, and we will lose all of that to the ether in the years, because cartridges and especially floppy disks degrade over time, and unless you keep copying those things, they will eventually disappear. And the floppies lose their magnetism, you lose the information, and it's gone. And we have to keep these things somehow for people to continue playing. And it's it's different playing Mario on your NES Mini, because it's not the same as the original Mario that was released. It's a port. However, my enjoyment and my reaction and my, how I play it now is not the same as it was when I played it originally either. It's there for nostalgia, and that's what it's there for. It's not there to be a replication of something that you can enjoy again the same way as you did before. Because if that was cool, we'd all be sitting in our pants on a Saturday morning eating cereal, watching Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Because, and I know you do, Jeremy, but I saw that. I saw the eyebrow look at the TV then, like, yeah. But do you know what I mean? It's that it's there to keep it, and that's why I'll always be okay with emulation, because I think, okay, it's not right all the time, but me downloading Lemmings on the internet, no one loses money from.
Yeah.
Now, they used to, and I get it that they used to, but they don't anymore, and that's not a problem. You know, I'm not going to buy Lemmings now, but if I can play it, then cool. You know, although I've got it anyway on my Mega Drive. You know, it's one of those that I'm cool with emulation. The more and more of these minis we get come out, it might just get someone out there is going to buy that, and they're going to have the best afternoon of their life. Yeah. You know, taking a trip down memory lane and enjoying it. And it may be only an afternoon. It may go back in the box or sit on a shelf. But do you know what? More power to them for enjoying that, mate. So
I'm all over a C64.
Yeah, totally.
I cannot wait.
That has been the clincher for me, that one, because C64s and an Amiga would be another one that swung it for me. They're just so hard now to not buy. You can get them plentiful if you want and you pay the right money, but they're so hard to set up. They're so hard to just interface with these days. You know, to get some things working on your TV now, you need to go buy special adapters, and that's fine. But I've got to buy the special adapter, and then the brick might stop working on it, and I have to buy a new power brick on my Amiga. And you know, with these things, you can just plug them in, play that little bit of half-hour fun that you wanted, and turn it off again. Yeah. And you know, nobody loses money out of it, like I say, by emulation. And you know, more power to these people making them, because it's just fun.
I can't wait for this, like Christmas from me 35 years ago.
Yeah, £110 as well. I don't think it's, you know, and as well, if you wait, that'll probably go down. I mean, you can already buy the PS1 for, I think it was going for 20 quid on Prime Day. Something like that. Yeah, it was really cheap. It might have been like 30, 40, you know, but around that, real over half the price of what it originally was. But talking about people that make stuff, and this is just a little thing, I don't know if you've seen it, but someone has made a NES game of John Wick.
Really?
Yes, and it is your usual fare of side-scroller shooter, jumping up and down with a sniper rifle, killing people. But if you do go onto YouTube, I've just type in John Wick NES, and you'll see some really cool footage of someone's. And I mean, this is the thing with retro gaming. I don't know how informed you are of some of it, but even stay in Brazil, they still make Mega Drive stuff.
Really?
Mega Drive is the best-selling console of all time in Brazil, and I think it was up until like 2009 it was still in full production or something like that. I've got to look at my facts for that one, but yeah, the Mega Drive has always been popular, and they still sell them today. I think there's like a Mega Drive 3 out there, and it's made by a company called Tectoy, and they obviously did the Latin America, like South America, manufacturing of Mega Drives, and they just hooked on, and they've got their claws into people out there. And you've got to remember, it's a country of you know, of poverty and low economic stature, that for them to be able to buy PS4s and stuff, they can't afford it. But
yeah, of course,
retro gaming is so big out there because it's not retro to them. It's still current, because everyone can afford these cheaply manufactured Mega Drives that have been around for 40 years, you know, 30 years, sorry, that they can afford that. So that's why it's still big out there. And yeah, people out there as well, still to this day, making NES and Mega Drive games that you can play. And
that's
the John Wick one. Yeah, and as well, these people do it right, because it's not easy. It's a hard game, and they stick to the way we lived back then by playing games of you never completed them because you couldn't.
No.
You know, some games were literally uncompletable. There are games out there.
Funnily enough, we were watching Freddie and Jake play a game today, and for the life of me, I can't remember what it was, but it was one of these new modern ones that everyone loves. And every couple of seconds, they're pausing it and going to a menu and changing something, and then going along, and another minute they're pausing it. And God, they were doing it playing Mortal Kombat. they kept pausing it and going, "Oh, hang on, I've got to do this move. Right, I'll look that up. Right, and then they'll carry on." No, stop it.
To write it down quickly and read it quickly on your pad, or remember it up there when you play it.
Remember it. If they're literally.
But it's all micro now. That's the whole point. It's all micromanaging, microtransactions. It's all to do with that. Everything. You micromanage every game you play, even Grand Theft Auto. As much as I love them, Grand Theft Auto 3 got car, beat up prostitute, shot person. Right?
Yeah.
Now it's like go to gym, eat food, must have a salad because I don't want to get too fat because I've got a date tomorrow night. Right? You know what I mean? And it's ridiculous that everything now is so. I mean, I love my RPGs, but they're so in depth, and everything is like you say, microtransactions as well. Is why I am no longer into gaming in the modern sense. It doesn't bother me because I just haven't got the time for all this microtransaction nonsense. A game that I'm going to be playing for the next 5 years. No, I want to play a story, turn it off, and not have to worry about it for another 6 weeks.
Just trying to get on and kill some people.
Yeah, like Doom.
I'll say to them, look, you've almost time to go. You got 10 minutes, and they're setting the thing up. I said, but you've just got to play it. Oh no, you've got to do this and you've got to choose that. I'm like, well, you can't just play it.
Yeah,
no,
you can't just start these days, mate. They don't work like that.
Turn on, play a game. That's all I want to do. And if I can't do that, then I don't want to play it. It's not, Pac-Man. You turn it on, you played it.
How about Doom? Was you ever a fan of that?
Actually, I've got Doom for the Xbox, and it's got all the original Dooms and the really blocky 8-bit graphic one, and that's the one we prefer playing.
Thank you for helping me with my segue. So, talking about the original Doom and that said collection, it actually stealth launched onto Switch this week.
Okay.
So on the Switch store now, I think it was $3.99. You can buy Doom, $3.99 for Doom 2, and $7.99 for Doom 3. 3, I think, was a PlayStation 3 game, so I don't think it's like a couple of gen old now. But yeah, 1 and 2 are on now for $3.99 each. Now, there was a slight issue Bethesda have done a U-turn on, but I think you still need, up until probably the next couple of days, a Bethesda account to be able to log in and play it, which is something that shouldn't be happening on something like a Switch console. I shouldn't need to be doing that, especially if I'm buying it off the store, because that could dupe people into it that aren't willing to set up another account. But they've done a U-turn on that and said they will be eliminating that necessity. But I mean, I heard about the launch and I thought, oh, great, I'll have a look at it. It depends how much they are. But I went on today and I saw the prices and I thought, well, it's got to be done. So I'll be playing Doom in bed tonight, probably at $3.99 a go. It's well worth it. And I think it'll work well on that console because it's not, not overly complex with its controls back then.
No, it's just point and shoot.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was groundbreaking in its day as well.
It was. The music as well was brilliant. It was just so full on. I'd never played something that was so manic at the time. You run into a room and you open fire, and it's just carnage, absolute carnage. Playing the Doom games. I've not played the new ones, and I definitely will. Doom Eternal's coming out or is out already. I'd like to have a go at that, but they've always been a solid franchise. I don't know if Doom 1 will make it into my top 100 games. It's one of those that's sitting on a list at the moment going, maybe. Because there are some other shooters out there that, although not as good, I probably preferred growing up.
Doom movie, though, don't watch that.
Hey, do you know what? I'll actually defend that. I like it.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think...
I've watched the beginning of it, and I was like, nah. Should I revisit?
So yes, you should, because like you, I can appreciate when a film's just trying to be a bit of fun, right? Yeah. And you've got Carl Urban and The Rock.
Carl Urban and The Rock, haven't you?
Big guns, metal, and aliens, right? You can't really go wrong with that, and they don't. It's not Doom because it's not.
Sounds a bit like Rambo in space.
Well, essentially, it is. It's a better version of Aliens in my eyes, but. The thing is, what it failed to do is Doom is very much about, hell and this weird dimensional stuff, whereas this was kind of just more like they tried to play on that a little bit. It was just aliens in space killing people and men with big guns blowing them up. That was the long and short. But there's actually a scene in it that have you ever seen the film Horrid Henry? Bloody now. See, I've been playing with daughter. Have you ever seen Hardcore Henry? The first person.
I've tried to really hard. It gave me headache.
It is hard because it's a very hard film. But if you watch Doom, there's a sequence near the end that goes into first person mode, and it was like the first film that I've ever known to have done it to that degree. And it's like playing Doom for just a nice little 2-minute part in the end sequence, the final act. And yeah, it's just fun. I mean, it's not a great film. I understand why people don't like it, but I just think, like you, it's just harmless, good, stupid fun. So,
I'll find it somewhere and revisit it.
Yeah. And talking of harmless, good, stupid fun, and somebody who was very good at doing that in his very illustrious and long career was a Mr. Rutger Hauer, who sadly passed away this week. Did you know how old he was, Jeremy? Because he wasn't...
He was only about 75, wasn't he?
Was he something like that? It's 75. Mate, you're right there. It's a big shame. And we were talking about it before, and before we started recording, I kind of went, yeah, it is sad, but what is he, really? And then we started to look through his IMDb list.
Yeah.
It's prolific, isn't it? You forget how much work Rutger Hauer has actually done over the years. I mean, obviously, the first thing I ever think of when I think of Rutger Hauer is Blade Runner, as Roy Batty.
Yeah.
And
I have to say, he is by far the best thing in Blade Runner.
Yeah. Yeah. As much as I love Harrison.
I would watch Blade Runner to watch him.
Yeah, and this is the thing. I mean, we were talking about it, and like I said, I was kind of, but has he... And he's never really been the leading man, has he? But the roles in which he does... he does own them, and yes, he was in Valerian as well. From our conversation,
he was, yeah.
He was the president of the World State Federation, wasn't he? Yeah. So he was in that, and he's all these little films that he just kind of like pops up into, and he's in True Blood that we were talking about, and we remembered, and just you go through, and there's some real terrible things in there, like the Metal Hurlant Chronicles and Dracula 3D, and but then there's some real good indie type films.
He made a film with Sylvester Stallone and Billy D. Williams as well, called Nighthawk.
Yeah, he did that, and he was also in Lady Hawk. Lady Hawks.
Yeah.
Batman Begins. Yeah, and Sin City. I mean, the guy's
Fury. I like that one.
Yeah. Smallville. He was in that as well for a couple of episodes. And I mean, Rutger Hauer's just one of those that he's made a name for himself through the years of just being generally quite good, hasn't he? That's the thing. He's a face that you recognise. His turn as Roy Batty is obviously probably one of the pinnacles of his career in most people's eyes, I would say as well.
I would say that
anyone who ever quotes anything from Blade Runner will always quote that end scene, "Time to Die," and and his performance throughout that film does steal the film and probably carry it for some of it as well in what could be some real quiet moments. It's a shame. He will be genuinely missed by us here and many other people. So, Rutger, rest in peace. Right, you got anything else, Jeremy?
No, I think that's it. It's no quiz without Adam again, is there?
He said he'd bring it this week, didn't he?
He did, but
yeah.
What can you say? You've got children, so you can't ever knock someone for spending time with the children.
Really? Oh, because before we started recording, I told mine to bugger off because I wanted to play with Jeremy.
Yeah, but you live with yours, it's different.
Yeah, true. Oh, I did finish my X-Wing. I don't know if I mentioned that last week, did I?
I saw a picture of it.
Yeah.
I saw a picture of it. Very impressive.
Oh, no, I did mention it last week. Yeah, I did. But I love my X-Wing. Yeah. Went to IKEA last night as well. I was trying to get Stace to buy me a load of Detolf. But yeah, she was like, no, they're £50 each.
Didn't you authorise an unlimited card though? So
okay. Yes, I have been authorised an unlimited card. That was very kind of her, actually. I'm allowed to get an unlimited card. So yes, my trips to the cinema as of next month will be very regular.
Yeah. But again, I don't know why more people don't do it. Because if you go to the cinema twice a month, you save money.
That's exactly what we actually spoke about. She was like, look, it sounds like a lot if you talk about £20 a month bill coming out. But if you talked about maybe going to the cinema once a month, it's only the concessions that you'd buy while you were there would pay for that ticket for the month.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, you're right. Like, I get it. And
like we said, when an end game comes out, you'll watch that 4 or 5 times in a month.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, episode 9, I probably might just go to the cinema Saturday morning at 9 o'clock and leave at 1 in the morning. Just sit and watch Star Wars all day. But yeah, it's one of those things where I'm like, yeah, actually, you put into context, £20, it's literally, I can go 4 times a month. I can see in my eyes, honestly, being a thing quite easily because most Friday nights. Isn't it? Yeah, well, most Friday nights I get home late, and everyone else in my house has decided to go to bed. And, you know, I can come home, get changed, pop back on the motorway, 20 minutes, not even that, it's 10 minutes down the road from me. Yeah. And I can go watch something, and, you know, that'd be most Friday.
You know, I get the app, I book my seat, you turn up, you show me a ticket, you walk straight in, and you're done.
Yeah, totally. And, yeah, I think I'm going to probably live in Cineworld. So, because, you know, like I said, there's films as well that they kind of make money out of you for, because like Us, for instance, that came out, you know, the Jordan Peele movie, I really wanted to see it, but it came out at the same time as other films were coming out that I wanted to see more. And, you know, money is an object, unfortunately. It's I can't go and see everything I want to see, so I have to choose the ones that I want to see. And, you know, there's not so much draw for a film like Us to me to the cinema, because it's something that I find a lot more personal. I'd rather watch at home in a way anyway.
Yeah, I mean, there are movies you have to watch at the cinema, like your Endgames and your
exactly, and they're the ones you choose. But now I've got the choice to not have to choose, and I can just go and see what I want, and that's going to be a great thing. And I think it's going to give us so much more content, because I record a little pre and post for every single one of them. So,
but you can also go and watch all the retro ones that they re-released.
Is that included as well?
Yeah, everything.
Well, there you go. I'm done. That's it. Brilliant.
I am going to the cinema on Monday night at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
I know not what I'm watching. It is just it's a pre-release one. I booked the ticket for it. You turn up.
I can tell you what it is.
I'm thinking it's probably Hobbs & Shaw.
Yes.
I'm really looking forward to it.
It comes out next week, doesn't it? So it's the week. I saw that on there as I was looking through, and knowing that I've worked in a cinema, I looked at that and went, that's a bit obvious. You know.
But I watched the new Jumanji about a month before it came out.
It does happen, yeah. I mean, we used to have it that people would have to sign NDAs sometimes when they come out of the screen. Because we'd let them watch something that was very early on, and there was one movie we did. It was Ice Cube, and it was a comedy cop film.
Ride Along.
Might have been that, yeah. And it was one of the ones where they take the feedback and they go and change scenes and editing and stuff. Yeah. So we had a lot of everyone went in, phones were taken off them and put in Ziploc bags and marked up, and they had to sign waivers and everything on their way out. And anyone that was, caught sharing anything online would be very much torn a new one. And so, you do get stuff like that, I know, in cinemas that happen, and they're very cloak and dagger with it all, because they'll even have separate queues and won't tell people what it's for. And so, yeah, I look forward to some of that, but I didn't know the older films were included in that as well. So
yeah, that's what George the other week, didn't I?
Yeah. Brilliant. Now I know that. That's amazing.
Well, I want to tick the boxes of all the ones that I've never seen that I'd love to watch.
I think we might have to make an episode out of that, mate. We might have to get all of our films that we have seen and haven't seen at the cinema that are our favourites, and then try and maybe make it a thing where we go and do it.
Yeah, I'm right up for that.
The cinema movie bucket list, yeah. So... that's it. Right. Okay. That's all I've got time for tonight, and that's all the time for tonight, I think. I'm going to do the outro. I'm going to try and make him proud.
Have you written it down?
No, I haven't written it down. Look, nothing. Right? Pens away, books away. So, everyone, thank you for listening to the Drink Podcast. Oh, my wife just walked in the room and put me off with that one now, so I can't do it. Can you turn the light on? I can't even see my screen. Thank you. It's all right. Yeah, where was I? Oh, yeah, you can find us in places. See, I've lost it.
You were so close.
I was so close. I'm sorry, Adam, I tried. Okay. Yeah, you can find us at join our Retroing podcast group on Facebook.
Yeah.
Find us on Instagram, Twitter. I think you do most of that, don't you? I haven't even still got Twitter installed on my phone yet. So sorry if you've tried contacting us on there. Leave us a nice 5-star review on iTunes. That always helps, bumps us up through the ranks, get us a little bit more seen. We're now on Patreon as well, so for as little as $1 a month, you get extra content, you get the podcast early. And, find everything we do at most of your local podcatchers. So thank you very much.
And check out the website.
Not yet. I haven't finished it. Something wrong with one of the pages.
No. Yeah. Is it the one of me again?
No. I've managed to get widescreen working.
Hey, harsh. God, just because Adam's not here, you got to pick on me.
No, wasn't it? Right. Right. Anyway, thank you very much, everyone, and we'll catch you next week.
Laters.